Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about a strategy or tactic that NaVi has in place for winning 4v5 situations on T-side Inferno. This is something that allows them to lose the opening pick, but still have a high chance of converting the round in their favor. On top of that, it's no coincidence that they also had the highest 4v5 conversion out of all the top 20 ranked teams in 2021. So without further delay, let's get started. What I'm going to do first is show a couple examples of how these 4v5 rounds break down before going into the details of how and why this strategy works. This first example starts off with Boomich and Perfecto working up towards Banana. Now Perfecto, off a flash, is going to try to challenge the sandbag position. He ends up dying to Fallen. And Boomich, rather than attempting to go for the trade, he's just going to fall back out of Banana immediately, and this is where the 4v5 starts. Now over on the other side of the map, as soon as this kill happens, Electronic immediately reacts towards mid by throwing a flash and taking Brackets control through Boiler. At the same time, Simple is going to be here as well, and he's going to pressure up towards Long. And as a result, he's able to catch Stewie, who's trying to fall back towards Moto. After he catches him, the next thing that's going to happen is that Boomich is going to catch Elige trying to get information towards Brackets. And now the site is completely open, as the only last person to deal with is the player in Pit. So Bit, he comes up towards Apps, and he's able to catch Grim from the back. And just like that, this 4v5 is now a 4v2. Let's look at another example. The second example against G2 is going to start off in almost the same way. So Perfecto trying to find an opening towards his top Banana position. He dies to Nexa. There's a slight attempt to go for a trade, but Simple cancels the boost right away and falls back out of Banana. Same with Boomich as well, and now we're in the 4v5. And once again, on the other side of the map, as soon as this kill happens, Electronic is going to work on trying to get bracket control. So he pushes Amnak off this angle by peeking Boiler, and then he throws some utility towards the right side to ensure that they're able to get this control. Now this time, instead of just peeking to create pressure at Long, Simple is going to throw the B split smoke instead in order to push the CT back and deny information. Electronic will add on to it as well by throwing a flash over towards Long before sitting behind the smoke. And now at this point, with Boomich and Simple also here at mid, as soon as the smoke fades, they're able to catch Amnak playing underneath the porch, and they're also able to spot Jax who falls from the apartments, which Electronic is able to punish. And then lastly, there's one more player in sight, and Simple ends up trading him out as well. This 4v5 situation turns into a 3v2, where G2 eventually opt to save. Now if you're looking at these two rounds back, you're probably thinking they look pretty similar. And they are. That's because there's actually a strategy behind it. Let me break down the similarities between these two rounds bit by bit, and explain the thought process behind what NaVi are doing to win these 4v5s. Now to explain how this works, let's look at this step by step. First, the entry. Now of course, the fact that Perfecto dies at Banana is not part of the plan, but it means now that they proceed with their plan of how to handle 4v5s if he dies. The first step to notice is that the players supporting him do not actually go for the trade. They fall back immediately. Even Simple, who goes for the boost to maybe find the trade, opts to cancel in order to stick with the plan. Now the second step is to react quickly on taking Brackets. Notice how here Electronic, he takes initiative immediately on taking Brackets through his positioning or his utility. The reason why the second step must be done quickly is because since the Banana players are falling back, there's a limited amount of time before the CTs potentially get full information on Banana and eventually rotate a player towards A. So that's why Boomich is running away basically instantly, using this timing where the CTs are still trying to safely fall back and when there's very likely still two at the B site. The third step, since they have Brackets, is to put pressure towards Long or Arches, and NaVi did this by either just peeking it or simply using a smoke to get control. Their goal here is to try to push this player back at Long and create uncertainty around whether or not they're actually coming up Long. The final step is to try and punish the short player. Because of the pressure or control taken at Long, there's a chance that the CT short player will peek Brackets to try to get information as a way to regain an advantage after losing so much map control, even if they're up 5v4. And the reason for that is because if they don't, there's a chance to run into this situation where the T's just fully exec B with the rotations out of place because of the pressure created at Long. Which means getting this kill is very important to making this work, because as soon as NaVi get this kill, they only have to worry about the CT at Pit and potentially a player transitioning towards the site. And that is the strategy that NaVi used to win these 4v5s if they die first at Banana. Now what if the death happens at middle? Well, NaVi have a strategy around that too. So let's look at this example against Virtus Pro. What you're going to first notice is that after Simple dies, Electronic's going to use his nades right away to take Brackets control. He's going to smoke right side, flash towards the left, and he's not going to let this trade go completely untraded. Next you see Perfecto over towards Banana, and all he's trying to do is create a little bit of presence over there so that VP keep 2 players over towards B. Now from the control that Electronic got earlier towards brackets, he's able to punish James who's trying to get information towards mid. And off of this one kill, Boomich is going to throw a Molotov towards Pit, which then allows Bit to get this kill on the player at Pit. And then lastly, they collapse onto Sanji who's trying to make a play towards the site. And once again, another 4v5 converted into a 4v2. Let's look at one more example. You'll see something very similar once again in this round against Vitality. So Simple ends up dying to ZywOo. Electronic, he's going to throw the nades to control towards mid, so he's still going to throw it even after Simple dies. So left side smoke as well as a Molotov under porch. And then Boomich is going to come back towards Banana to ensure that they establish presence at Banana. So him and Perfecto, they're going to use their nades. The flash comes through to allow Boomich to spot the player over towards Sandbag. And he's going to use another flash here just to ensure that this player actually goes back towards the site. Now that he knows that there's probably going to be 2B, now he's going to start falling back. And this is when Electronic starts working up towards brackets to see if anybody's going to overextend. And he catches a nice timing here to be able to creep up on ZywOo towards long. As soon as he gets the kill, he's going to work up towards long. Boomich, who is coming from Banana, is going to go up towards short. And then Electronic, who is working up towards long, he's going to get a lot of space to be able to spot Kyojin towards the pit. He doesn't commit to this kill, and instead he lets his teammates from short and apps be able to take care of that kill. And then lastly, Shocks towards the site, Perfecto and Electronic, they basically squeeze him from both sides to take the A site. And once again, you can probably tell that these 2 rounds look pretty similar. Again, let's compare these 2 rounds step by step. So the first is the entry, so ZywOo gets the kill onto Simple towards mid, and the same thing with James as well. Now what you'll notice that was different compared to the previous system that we discussed was that instead of falling back, Electronic's actually going to try to take space towards brackets. He's not going to let that death go completely untraded. So in exchange for his teammate going down, he's going to use his nades to get map control. And this is going to be necessary for what happens later on in the round. Now the second step is to ensure that the CTs are playing 2 towards B. Right here you see Perfecto, he takes contact with the player towards car, and what that does to Buster is after he sees that there's a possibility of them coming up towards Banana, it actually cancels this rotation that Yukindra had going towards A. So instead of Yukindra stacking forward towards A, he's going to come back towards B, respecting the fact that it could be a B hit. And this is especially important because if you plan to ultimately end towards A, you have to make sure there's only 3 players over towards A. And this can be done by making sure you pressure B enough so that they stay 2B. As you can see here with Vitality, where after they get some pressure from that half wall position, Masuda and Apex, they basically default back to more of a site setup where they're prepared to handle a B hit. Because of the possibility of a B hit, the final step is to try to catch one of these players either from short or long, overextending trying to get information on brackets. Now the reason why CTs would want to do this is because if they're able to get information on whether or not there's anybody towards brackets, it helps solidify the rotation towards B if there's pressure there. So here for example, where Stewie sees players coming up towards Banana, NaV can rotate more confidently knowing that he has somebody who has full information on middle. So this is why the CTs may want to re-aggress brackets to facilitate this rotation. And this reaction where the CTs are looking for information is what NaVi are trying to punish, which is very similar to what we covered earlier when the first player dies of Banana. Now as soon as they get this kill, that's when things open up. And that's because you can start pressuring the pit player either by using utility or forcing him into uncomfortable positions where you can get shot from multiple places. And as for the third player, he's going to be in a difficult position because he has to balance between trying to fight long and short at the same time. So whether or not NaVi get the entry at long or short, this is a problem that this third player is going to have to deal with. So to sum it all up, NaVi's strategy for winning 4v5s basically boils down to the key concept that taking map control can make up for man disadvantages. And that's because if you have more map control, the other team, even if they're up in numbers, will still feel pressured to make an information play, which then you can capitalize on. And that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.